So without further ado, if I could pass over to Professor Schwab, and he will give us hopefully an overview of the current world situation and the context within which we are holding the meeting next week. Professor Schwab.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to position the meeting in the general context of the world as it is today. I feel that we are living to a certain extent in a schizophrenic world. If you look at the economy, the world is doing very well. We had 5 years of continued, accelerated economic growth. Even Africa is growing considerably, or most countries. Even in Europe, we are reducing unemployment rates. So the forecast for this year is also very good. So actually, there is a good feeling about where we are. But underneath, there are so many risks, problems, inconsistencies, challenges, imbalances. And I would like to draw your attention to our global risk report, which we published last week, where we identified 23 global risks. And working together with our global risk network, which consists of experts, government members, business people around the world, actually 12 of those risks have increased in significance during the last 12 months. 6 have remained stable, and 5 people did not have let's say, an agreement whether it has increased or decreased. So we are living in a world which still is very dangerous, in a world where we have imbalances. And what we want to do in Davos, we want to create awareness for those global challenges. This is the uniqueness of Davos and of our annual meeting in Davos, that it is not devoted to one single issue. Usually in the world, you have many conferences devoted to trade, to health issues, and so on, but all those challenges actually are interrelated. And our annual meeting in Davos is a place at the beginning of the year where leaders assemble to look at all those challenges, to evaluate those challenges, to define priorities, and, if possible, to come up also with some solutions for those challenges. Now, if you look at our theme of this year, it's shaping the global agenda. And of course, I should add, the program, as you will see, is a very loaded program. But it just corresponds to the complexity of the global agenda of today. So we reflect in our program what's actually happening in the world of today. But you see, it's not only shaping the global agenda, there's a second sentence, which means the changing power equation. I think we can look at those global challenges only if we take into account, if we want to respond to those global challenges, if we want to find solutions, we have to take into account that a substantial, fundamental societal change is happening. Everywhere you have shifting power. Look at governments. You have today much more pull power of citizens compared to push power of governments. Or look at companies. You have today a shifting of the power from the center, which means from the enterprise itself, more towards the customers, towards the shareholders, towards the regulators. If you look on a geopolitical level, and you are all very well informed about this, we are moving from a structure and from a world system which was more or less based on one power to a multi-power system. So if we look at the challenges and we want to find solutions, I think we can do so only if we take into account those shifting power systems. Now, what is the second difference of Davos, of our annual meeting? It's the fact that it is a multi-stakeholder community. There is no such other comprehensive multi-stakeholder community existing. How is it composed? We will assemble in Davos 2,500 leaders, and we have taken great care to make sure that all walks of society are represented in Davos. So you have, we have contingents. So you have in Davos, of course, the business community, limited to 50% of the participation. We have a great participation from governments, as you will see, 24 or 25 heads of states. Most governments are represented by 2 or 3 key cabinet members, and the reason again is the systemic integrated approach which we are taking on global issues. So it's not just trade or not just foreign affairs, it's all interrelated. We have some of the finest experts in the world. We feel it's very important that the discussions taking place in Davos are based on the best of expertise. Just to mention one figure, out of the 20, we have a group of university presidents, 22 or 23, representing the best known universities in the world. So academia is very well represented. But for us, always important has been civil society, with major NGOs coming to Davos, trade unionists, religious leaders, cultural leaders, and I could go on and on. Particularly important, of course, the media. We want to have a very transparent meeting, and we may discuss later some ways how we increase this year even the interactiveness, the connectivity of what's happening in Davos with the rest of the world. And a group which is very important also for us in Davos are the young global leaders, young people whom we nominate just under the age of 40 years, because we feel we have to provide a forward-looking, provocative, young dimension to our discussions. And you may have seen we announced yesterday the young global leaders of the year 2007, and they have been selected, by the way, in cooperation with 40 or so of the leading media, the heads of the leading media in the world. And finally, particularly in terms of the empowerment of people, I should mention our social entrepreneurs. We will announce tomorrow or celebrate in a ceremony in Bern. We will announce the social entrepreneur of the year for Switzerland. Social entrepreneurs are people who acted as on the ground, on the grassroots level, as social innovators who have done something very extraordinary in order to enact social innovation. And we feel that the presence of those people in Davos is very important to integrate a grassroots level perspective into our discussions. So what do I wish to see as an outcome? Don't forget, Davos is not a decision-making conference. I think the decision-making is left afterwards to everybody who has participated in his own individual function. Davos is a meeting for brainstorming, for creating new ideas, for advancing maybe certain issues. So my wish is that when people come back from Davos, they have a greater awareness that there are some very crucial issues in the world. I'm just referring, for example, to climate change, to energy security, and so on. There are some very crucial issues in the world which have to be addressed, and if we can contribute to a better awareness and possibly to some solutions related to those issues, then I think it was worthwhile to bring together 2,400 of the world's top leaders in Davos.
Thank you very much, Professor Schwab. There will, of course, be plenty of time for questions and answers at the